Today, on Be Something Wonderful, inner talking is the only reality. What third party? I'm engaged. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Really big video today. This comes from, I had a lot of sessions back to back yesterday to really late in the evening. And I want to talk about one of my last sessions because it's perhaps the biggest story. And when I say story, I'm having fun with that because that's what it was about. It was about inner talking. It was about the story you're telling yourself, right? And she had a big realization, right? This was a follow-up session. And I will give you the end. The end is she's engaged. And the story behind it, I'm going to get into for in a few minutes. But here's how she started. She said, "Oh my God, yes." And she was laughing. She goes, "I say that because that was part of my new story, my imaginal scene." And she says, "I see it now. I wasn't seeing them and then telling a story. I was telling a story and then seeing them." The person she's now engaged with, that she knew about a person that he dated. That was his only other really serious relationship. And she kept seeing them together. In other words, telling that story, telling that possibility to herself, not necessarily to him, right? And then sure enough, that they started working together, him and that girl from childhood. They weren't even in the same building. They weren't even on the same team, but they were in the same organization. They're in the same company. And so she's just telling that story. And then sure enough, he wants to take a break. Not because he wants to see that girl from childhood necessarily, or that other woman. Just because, remember, she's creating that reality. She's creating that split. And you know, right before that, he had given her a little bracelet as a birthday gift. And so she gave the bracelet back to him and says, "You know, I really just want forever." And so they take a break. Of course, he now is working with that girl. They're now in the same group, and he starts seeing her. And she says, and she gets it now that it wasn't that now she's seeing them together and she's telling the story about those conditions. She was telling the story and then she saw them together. She goes, "Oh my God, yes." And again, that was for fun because that was part of her new story. I'll get to that in a second. Her scene, her feeling. She was, "I wasn't seeing them and then telling a story. I was telling a story and then seeing them." And they had an agreement that if he were ever to be in love with someone else or ever get married and they weren't together, that he would come and tell her first. So that's how it rolled out. Like her imaginal scene or story, really remember, the imaginal scene is just your story. It's the story you're telling yourself, right? She got to this thing where it wasn't specifically how the engagement would happen. It's just that she felt that is a quantum possibility. Okay, so she recognized that she moved to the recognition that condition of them seeing each other is one quantum possibility, one story out of an infinite number of stories. And she decided to tell the story of what she wants, that she's engaged, right? She just saw herself going, "Oh my God, yes," when he asked her. That was her. It wasn't specifics about how it was going to happen. It was just that she goes, "I know that's a quantum possibility. Hear this." Tell her scene or her story of saying, "Oh my God, yes. I want to get married. I will marry you," right? That was her scene. So this is why she goes, I see it now. I just needed to keep telling that story. Not that's what I'm seeing in 3D reality. I get that. That's one quantum possibility. But I get to choose my story and light that up. And that's what she did. So he did go to her house, right? And he acts at the door and he's looking all glum. So immediately a thought comes to her, right? Those spontaneous, unwanted thoughts. That, oh my God, he's going to tell me that he's getting married to her, because that was their agreement. Then he gets up that it was just a thought, right? Just a fasting thought before she could even think again. He gets on her knees with the bracelet. He didn't have a ring yet. This is cool. It gives me tingles. And says, will you? And she goes, oh my God, yes. Do you see the power here, guys? I really want you to see this. I was so thrilled with this. I couldn't sleep. I had to get up and create a lesson around it. Remember, the new story, it's not about controlling your thoughts and feelings. It's not even about controlling the infinite stories that are possible, right? Because that story of him marrying that other girl from childhood, is a quantum possibility, was a quantum possibility, will always be a quantum possibility, and is playing out in one alternative reality. Do you see it? So it's not about controlling that. It's not about controlling your thought of that. Instead, it's controlling your inner talking or your inner story, meaning how do you control it? By telling that story to yourself, by knowing that's a possibility, by moving back to that story. No matter what you're seeing in 3D reality, accept it as one possible story, reality or version, out of an infinite possible stories. That's what she did. Really thrilling. No story has any more reality than any other. This is what we really unpacked last night, right? Just to kind of put a lesson around this. And she wanted it shared, right? The only story that makes sense is the story you're telling now. That's the only story. That's the only story that is the only story that matters is the story you're telling now. It doesn't matter those other stories. It doesn't matter even if a thought or a feeling, even if you feel it. Just let that go. Remember, those are just temporary. And you can steer it by steering in the direction of your story. Fear and doubt make no sense. They're just another story. Wow. Hear this. This is really what we got to last night. And this is really what she moved to without her knowing it, right? Obviously, because it happened, right? She couldn't be in doubt and fear and have that reality take shape like that. Fear and doubt make no sense because they're just another story. She's just started seeing everything as just a story. Just tell it how you want it to be. It doesn't mean that the 3D conditions are reflecting that right now. You don't have to force yourself to believe that. You don't have to say, I'm married and I'm engaged and look at 3D conditions and see that you're not. Know that that's one quantum possibility, that you're married, that you're engaged. That is a true statement. All those possibilities exist. Now you're lighting it up. Now you're releasing the resistance. Now you're releasing doubt and fear. It makes no sense to be attached to any reality because they're all infinite. And remember, infinity is complete, but it's also expanding at the same time. So you just keep creating. Why focus on any 0.0001% when you can create a new one and a new one and a new one? This is really what she got to. Remember what Neville Goddard says. As we control our inner talking, matching it to our fulfilled desires, we lay aside all other processes. I want to break this down, this quote, like I haven't ever done before. Your inner and outer talking is your entire experience of reality, all of it in that moment. That's why that's so important. You're always telling a story with your assumptions and your beliefs, right? And remember, when you tell a new story, you're creating new assumptions and new beliefs. Do you see it? Assumptions and beliefs can be flimsy, right? They are reality for sure when you tell them, but you can change them. And when you change your story, you change your beliefs, you change your assumptions, you change your entire reality, you change your entire experience of reality right now. Your inner speech, your inner talking, your story is the only reality. It's all of it. So your assumptions and beliefs are not the truth of reality. They're your thoughts about reality. They feel like the truth. A lot of beliefs and assumptions feel so true, so big, so solid, so real that they feel like they are reality. They feel like they're truth, but they're not. They're just thoughts about truth. They're just thoughts about reality, right? You're not looking at reality and conditions. You're looking as reality and conditions. This is one of the big things that she got, right? She's looking as them. And so as she moves to what she wants, as she sees herself engaged, as she tells the story of that that I'm engaged and I'm in one of those realities? For sure I am. Do you see it? She lit that up. You're not sensing, seeing, hearing, or feeling reality in conditions and then telling a story about it. Hear this, right? Because that's what the real realization she got when she heard that they were together. She's not now seeing those conditions and then sensing them, right? She's not sensing those conditions and then telling a story in her talking about it. You're telling a story, and then you're sensing, feeling, hearing, and touching that reality. Do you hear it? That you're creating those assumptions and beliefs, and then you're sensing it or perceiving it. Right? You remember, it's not really about perceiving reality. Your 3D sensors create it. And it's created from your assumptions and beliefs that feed those 3D senses. Do you see this? So I want to say this again. You're not sensing, seeing, hearing, feeling reality in conditions and then telling a story about it. Your inner talking, your outer talking, whatever it is, inner or outer. You're telling a story and then sensing, feeling, hearing, and touching that reality. You're believing and assuming something and then perceiving it, right? So that's big. Remember, you don't perceive reality through your senses, you create it. And that's created through whatever you're assuming and believing you're perceiving through your senses, right? Your senses, those 3D physical senses, filter out entire realities. More than 99.9% of infinite versions of you and realities available to you and are unfolding right now. They've unfolded, they're unfolding, and will unfold. It's all happening right now, but you're filtering out all of that with your 3D senses. 3D senses create reality by filtering out entire realities, right? And you're left with what you assume and believe. Or in other words, hear this. What you're telling, you're left with your story. Wow. Right? And remember, why pick one story? There's infinite stories, infinite versions. And what we sense, listen to this, guys, hear this. What we sense with our physical senses is what we believe and assume. And what we believe and assume is our story, our inner and outer story right now. So why not tell the story, create new inner assumptions and beliefs, and sense with your 3D senses what you want to sense. The reality of your choice by that new story. Do you see how the story, the assumption, the concept of yourself, these are the teachings of Neville Goddard, create it all. Wow. Remember that story comes from a place of truth within you. It's not like you're trying to force yourself to assume or affirm something. It's coming from a place within you right now that exists within you. A reality that's just as real, if not more real, than the one you're looking out at. Because remember, what you're looking out at is coming from within, right? It's not about trying to control spontaneous thoughts and feelings. It's not about trying to resolve them or feel a better feeling thought. I know a lot of spiritual teachers talk about that. But then you're just playing whack-a-mole with reality. Whack-a-mole with the messy middle. Whack-a-mole with your thoughts and feelings. It's not about that. Instead, control your story by not controlling it. By simply telling the story of how you want things to be. Because that's just as real as the story you're telling of how things are not what you want them to be. Do you see it? There is no truth other than what you do. It's about telling the story of how you would like things to be, knowing you are creating reality in your entire life experience in that moment. Whew. See how fast that came in for her, right? It was under a month that he was on his knee with that bracelet, right? And even in the beginning of that month, or it wasn't a whole month, it was like split between 2 months, but it was for some 4 or 5 week period. In the middle of that, one of her friends even seeing them out. But she goes, okay, that's a story. That's a possibility. But that's not my choice. That's not what I agree with. Do you see it? That's what Neville means by as we control our inner talking. It's not really about controlling it. As you control your story, or in other words, as you move to the story you want things to be, then those spontaneous thoughts and feelings start lining up with that story. Do you see it? It's less spontaneous thoughts and feelings about what you don't want and more centered around your new assumption, your new feeling. Your story, your self-concept, who and what you assume yourself to be, that's your inner talking. That's your story. And some of you go, well, what exactly did she assume? Remember, it's got to come from a place of truth within you, right? Parroting others' affirmations, other people's stories is not going to do it. There's no conviction there. There's nothing natural. You create that story. For her, it was, oh my God, yes. I love it. I love it. That gives me tingles. That's for everything. That's for money. That's for houses. That's for the job you want. That's for the life you want. That's for the spiritual awakening you want. Oh my God, yes, 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 because that's what Source says. If Source could talk, Source would say, oh my God, yes, right? That's what Source would say. Matching it to your fulfilled desire, we can lay aside all of the processes. The second part of that quote, what's Neville saying here? He's saying that matching your inner speech to your fulfilled desire is all the processes. All together. It's imagining, it's affirming, it's scripting. It's all of it. Because your story is the only reality. In other words, your assumptions and beliefs are the only reality. It comes from that place of truth and knowing within. I know conditions are conditions, but I am. This is one of my clients. I've shared with this and now shared it with almost all the clients yesterday. We're talking about conditions, and this came up. So thank you for that client who had that realization, right? Conditions are conditions, but I am. I know all possibilities exist, and what I choose is the only reality. I know everything is unfolding perfectly. These were sort of the three things, but again, you come up with yours. Like that came from a place of knowing from my client. So that's natural to him. But if you like it and it resonates with you and it feels natural, use it. But again, have it come. These are the things she went to as she told that new story, right? And she just goes, it makes no sense to resist anything. I am reality. I'm looking as reality. If I'm feeling resistance, I'm looking as resistance, right? Resist nothing, accept all possibilities. You have no choice. All possibilities exist. In your non-acceptance, you put it there. In your non-acceptance of a third party, in your non-acceptance of that possibility, you create it. Right? Only agree with and announce your desired reality. So you can accept it, but only agree and announce your, oh my God, yes. Yes, only agree and announce your only reality. Inner talking is the only reality. What third party? That really fits here. What third party? I'm engaged. Yes, you are. I am your host, Tom Kearin. And this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creatives, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. We have a Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups / Be Something Wonderful. We also have a Facebook page, an organization page at Be Something Wonderful. You can join us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, or BeSomethingWonderful.com, or just go to our website anytime at TomKearin.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com. You can also join our membership channel. We just released a powerful video yesterday, and then 2 days before that, 2 videos almost back to back on the membership channel that are really powerful. You want to join? There's a join. Thank you for joining, and there's a link below. Guys, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for sharing in this fun. I mean, the unfolding is so thrilling. Until next time, this is Tom Kearin with Be Something Wonderful. With great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, we'll see you soon.